Alien bullies stole the human girl's lunch. 3 hours later, the entire academy regretted it. I was sitting 4 tables away when it happened, and I want you to understand something before I tell you the rest of this story. I have attended Orinth Academy for 3 cycles. I have watched Kosvaroth humiliate students from 6 different species. I have seen his crew knock translation devices off desks, mock the feeding habits of smaller races, and fill the complaint box with their own trash just to make a point. Nothing ever happened to them. Nothing. So when he walked up to the human girl that morning, I did what every other student in that cafeteria did. I looked away. Her name was Nina Osei. She had arrived on station 11 days earlier, the first human ever enrolled at Orinth, transferred in on some kind of interspecies exchange program that most of the faculty had not even voted for. She was small by any standard. No shell, no ridge plates, no secondary limbs, no sensory antennae. The Academy database listed her species as Class 3 emerging, which is a polite way of saying nobody powerful is watching out for you yet. She sat alone most mornings, eating food she apparently cooked herself in the shared kitchen, before the rest of us woke up. The smell was always extraordinary, warm and layered in a way that none of our nutrition dispensers could replicate. That morning she had something particularly involved in her container. I noticed it because 2 students at the next table were already leaning toward the smell without realizing it. Nina had her reader out and was going through coursework, completely relaxed, occasionally taking a bite with this quiet, private satisfaction that I had come to recognize as very human. Kosvaroth came in with Drev and Sulo, his 2 regulars. He spotted her immediately. He always had a sense for whoever was most isolated. He walked over slowly, the way he always did, letting the whole room register his approach. He picked up her container without asking, turned it over in his claws, made a show of reading the label she had printed on top which said, "Nina, do not touch," in 7 languages including Drethi. He said, "In Drethi that primitive species make primitive food." He said the label was unnecessary because nobody would want it anyway. Then he dropped the container, not threw it, dropped it, with this precise casualness that was somehow worse, and the container cracked along the base, and the food spilled across the floor in a way that made the whole cafeteria go quiet. His crew laughed. A few other students laughed too, nervously, because that is what you did around Kosvaroth if you wanted to stay invisible. I looked at Nina. She was looking at Kosvaroth, not crying, not shouting, not even visibly shaking. Her jaw had tightened slightly. Her eyes had gone to a place I had never seen in a face before. Not angry exactly, but resolved in a way that made the anger unnecessary. It lasted 3 seconds. I counted, because something about it made time feel strange. Then she got down and picked up what she could save. She thanked Oral, the cafeteria worker who came over with a cloth, and she left, quietly, without a word to Kosvaroth, without looking back. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong in a way I am still processing. Nobody saw Nina for the next 3 hours. I know now what she was doing, because the arbitration record became public after the hearing. She went directly to the station's civic terminal bay on sublevel 4, the one most students use only to check transit schedules, and she pulled up the full founding charter of Orinth Station. Not a summary. The complete interspecies compact of the Neutral Accord, which runs to roughly 940 articles and has not been read in full by anyone at this academy in living memory, because it was written before most of our species had faster-than-light travel, and everyone assumed the old language was too dense to be useful anymore. Nina read it in under an hour. I do not fully understand how human reading speed works, but the terminal logs confirmed she accessed every section, and the timestamps make it real whether I believe it or not. What she found in Article 7, subsection 12, paragraph 4 of the original compact is something that every faculty member at this academy should have known, and apparently did not consider relevant. Any student enrolled at a compact-recognized neutral station is classified, for the purposes of interstellar law, as a species delegate, not a tourist, not a trainee. A delegate. The same protections that cover diplomatic staff at interstellar summits apply, in modified form, to every student sitting in Orinth's cafeteria. The article was written to protect small civilizations from being pressured at neutral sites by larger empires. Nobody had ever tested it in an academic setting, because no small species had ever thought to look. Nina looked. In the second hour she filed a formal grievance, not with Orinth's internal administration office, which is chaired by 3 Dreth faculty members, and has a documented response time of 4 to 8 weeks, but directly with the Compact Arbitration Council, the interstellar body that oversees the Accord itself. She cited Article 7, subsection 12. She cited Article 31, which covers the deliberate destruction of personal property at neutral sites. She cited Article 88, which prohibits species-based harassment of delegates in any form. She attached the cafeteria's own security footage, which the station records automatically and retains for 30 days. In the third hour, she sent one message. To Earth. To an office called the United Nations Interstellar Affairs Division, which I had never heard of. The message was brief. It said she had a clean case and needed legal support within 6 hours if they wanted to move on it. They responded in 11 minutes. I want you to sit with that for a moment. 11 minutes. Which means that somewhere on Earth, a team of people were already assembled, already briefed on compact law, already prepared for exactly this kind of moment, waiting for a human student at some academy somewhere to hand them a clear, documented, unambiguous incident with security footage attached. Nina had not stumbled into anything. She had walked into the cafeteria that morning as a human being going about her day, and when Kosvaroth handed her an injustice, she handed her species a legal foundation. The arbitration tone sounded across the entire station at the start of the afternoon session. Most students my age have only ever heard it in historical recordings. It is a low, sustained chord that means a compact dispute is being formally adjudicated on site, and all relevant parties are required to present. The common room went absolutely still. Kosvaroth was summoned. Drev and Sulo were summoned, and this is the part that made even the senior students put down their work. Headmaster Roth Saul was summoned. Roth Saul, who has governed this academy for 62 cycles. Roth Saul, who has never once appeared before any external authority in all that time. I was in the corridor when Nina walked past with 2 arbitration officers. She had changed into something neat and clean, dark and understated. She had a small folder under one arm. She noticed me standing there, made eye contact, and nodded once. I nodded back. I think it was reflex. My hands were doing something I could not quite control. I watched the hearing feed from the common room with about 80 other students. The human legal advocate was a woman named Clover Tuilagi, appearing by high-bandwidth relay from Earth. She was not loud. She did not perform outrage. She was organized in a way that felt almost architectural, like she was building something in real time that you could not see the shape of until it was already around you. The Dreth legal team arrived within 40 minutes, which told you everything about how seriously they were taking it. They argued the incident was minor. A social misunderstanding between young students of different cultural backgrounds. A container of food, nothing more. Advocate Tuilagi produced a detailed breakdown of the meal's contents. Nina had ordered certain ingredients from Earth at personal expense, paid the import tariff, prepared the food over approximately 2 hours that morning. The cost was documented. The cultural significance of prepared food in human tradition was cited from 12 different academic sources. And then, very quietly, Advocate Tuilagi noted that the compact has no clause distinguishing between large and small harms. Harm is harm. Destruction of a delegate's property at a neutral site is a compact violation regardless of the value of the property. The Dreth lawyer objected. Advocate Tuilagi thanked her for the objection and moved to the next item. The next item was Exhibit B. The arbitration team, now formally present on station, had requested 3 years of Orinth's internal disciplinary records. What they found was 47 complaints filed by students from smaller species. 47 documented incidents. All 47 had been closed by the administration without external review, without meaningful consequence, and in 31 of those cases, without any recorded response to the student who filed. Roth Saul said the cases had been handled internally according to Academy protocol. Advocate Tuilagi said that internal protocol does not override compact obligations for stations operating under the Accord. She said it the way you might observe that water is wet, factual and final. But here is what I was not prepared for. When the Dreth legal team pushed back and demanded to know what remedy Earth was actually seeking, expecting financial damages, expecting an expulsion hearing, expecting something containable, Advocate Tuilagi said Earth was not seeking any of that. Earth was seeking a compact amendment. A formal, binding, ratified amendment that would extend explicit protection to all Class 3 and below species at every neutral station operating under the Accord, mandate an independent student ombudsman at every affiliated academy, and retroactively validate the 47 prior complaints filed at Orinth, requiring the academy to reopen and respond to each one. The Dreth lawyer asked for a recess. I looked around the common room. No one was speaking. No one was eating. A student named Farah from a small ocean world called Thuvis was sitting very still with her hands pressed flat on the table, and I noticed her eyes were wet, and I realized she was one of the 47. Kosvaroth did not come back to the dormitory that night. He was gone within the week. His family withdrew him quietly, with no formal statement. I heard later that the Dreth Empire had lost a trade agreement with a neutral world that had been watching the case closely, a world that decided they preferred partners who did not have that kind of hearing on their record. I do not know if that is true. It sounds true. I saw Nina the morning after he left. She was in the cafeteria again, early, with a new container of food, reading her coursework. I walked over, which I had never done before. I asked her if she was all right. She looked up and said she was fine. Thanks for asking. She asked if I wanted to try something she had made, because she always cooked more than she needed. I said yes. I do not know why. It was very good. She started a cooking group 3 weeks later, open to any student, any species. It meets on the 4th morning of every cycle in the shared kitchen. I have gone every time. I have thought about this a lot since it happened, and here is what I keep arriving at. We made the same mistake with her that everyone always makes with humans. We looked at the obvious things, the soft exterior, the single set of limbs, the short lifespan, the complete absence of biological weapons, and we did a threat calculation based on what she was. The calculation came back: low risk, safe to ignore, safe to dismiss. But humans are not defined by what they are. They are defined by what they do with what they know. They read everything. They remember everything. They build systems, legal systems, social systems, institutional systems, and they build them specifically to be ready for the moment when someone decides to underestimate them. They are patient in a way that feels almost geological. They wait, and they prepare, and they hand the right document to the right authority at exactly the right moment. And by the time you understand what has happened, the amendment is already being drafted. Kosvarath thought he was dropping a container of food. What he actually did was give a human a clean case. You do not give humans a clean case. Every species that has figured this out has figured it out the same way we did, too late, in a hearing room, watching someone named Clover Tuilagi build something around them one quiet article at a time. We know better now. I hope we remember it.